Hey guys, it's Leo Stargazer. I'm here with our daily tarot reading. Today is Sunday, July 30th, and my intention for today is boundaried complexity. So here it's the idea that if everything around you is feeling kind of complex, or your emotions are really filled with complexity today, or anything like that, I really want us to make sure at the beginning of the week that we boundary all of that from the start. So, not letting the complexities get out of control or overtake us in any kind of way. I want us to really feel boundaried, but still able to deal with complexity, still able to deal with complex emotions, complex situations, and things like that. We definitely can. I just think that today, starting out the week, I want us to make sure that we boundary that complexity some way. And so let's see what the spread tells us about that. Okay, so like I said, boundaried complexity is my intention. As I shuffle, I will be repeating that to myself while I center and take some deep breaths and kind of zone into my day. We are doing the typical daily spread that we do: thinking, feeling, and doing. If boundaried complexity doesn't work for you, just think understanding the day. Use understanding the day as your intention. But either way, I'll be repeating in my head boundaried complexity while I shuffle. So let's take a moment together, deep breaths, focus on the deck, and let's take a few moments to do that, and I'll see you on the other side. Okay, so I've brought the deck from complexity back into wholeness, and I am ready to draw my first card. Okay, and the first card that I draw in the thinking position is the High Priestess. The High Priestess in the thinking position is pretty appropriate. I think it makes a lot of sense. And it ties in with this idea of boundaried complexity in a really interesting way. So for me, the way that I see the High Priestess in the thinking position is that we are going to be thinking about our intuition. We're going to be thinking about the deeper sides of life today. The almost hidden side. And because it's thinking, I think it's maybe what we've been hiding from ourselves. Maybe that's the complexity, is kind of how we've balanced our conscious and subconsciousness, our consciousness and unconsciousness. This idea, though, that we have hidden knowledge within ourselves. This idea that we have an inner flow, an inner being, an inner sense that we are maybe tapping into today. I think seeing her in the thinking position is showing me that we might be tapping into a little bit of that hidden side of our intuition today. And that's exciting because I think that, it hints of a boundary. The card hints of a boundary in and of itself, and a inner complexity. So I think here it's talking about keeping or at least we're thinking about how we can balance our intuition with what we express on the outside. But since it's thinking, I want to focus inside first. So High Priestess, definitely thinking about our intuitions today, our hidden, maybe complex sides. But since she's the High Priestess, there's definitely is a sense of boundary there. So I think this card is a good way to start the spread. Let's see what the rest of the cards say. Okay, in the second position of feeling, the card that I draw is the reversed Seven of Wands. The reversed Seven of Wands in feeling is definitely showing me that today we are probably feeling a little indecisive. I think it's showing me today we are feeling like we maybe aren't able to stay above our more complex emotions, especially if they're conflicting emotions. I think the Seven reversed here is definitely hinting that we're going to be trying to stay above some complex emotions today. Maybe that's the effort we're putting in for the boundary. Maybe that's the call to put the boundary in. But either way, I think the Seven here is definitely saying there will be indecision and potentially some difficulty dealing with those complex emotions today. So that's normal. I think seeing the High Priestess definitely gives some authority and some confidence to us, at least in terms of our internal landscape. I think she definitely shows us that we're capable of boundarying our complexity. But the Seven is definitely showing that we need to. We need to fight indecision. We need to try our hardest to set those boundaries so that we can stay above the fray, or at least so that we don't have to be just super in the mess of potential complex emotions today. Let's go to the third position of doing and see if there's any advice there. So in the third position of doing, the card that I draw is the Eight of Swords reversed. The Eight of Swords reversed in the doing position definitely shows me that what we're doing today, or what we're being called to do, or what we will potentially do, is free ourselves. For me, this card reversed almost demands liberation. It definitely implies liberation. This idea too that we are taking off our blindfolds. So I think this ties really well into the Seven of Wands reversed, where we were needing to rise above it all. We were needing to make some decisions. I think the decisions that maybe were hinted at there, or at least the decision that's hinted at there, is the decision to free ourselves from all of that. When we have complex emotions, complex thoughts, when we are engaged in some really complex situations, if we don't boundary those, if we don't keep ourselves boundaried from them, or create boundaries within the complexity, we can almost trap ourselves. We can almost be trapped in a way that we can't see where the actual escape really is, or we can't really see that we're actually free in that space. So there are a lot of times, especially with like complex thoughts and emotions, like an internal situation, we can really tend to almost trap ourselves to where, like, if we did take off the blindfold, we'd see, oh, we can just walk forward. Like, if I just boundary this little issue here, I can just walk right past it. I think that's what the Eight of Swords reversed here is telling us. It's saying that today, while the High Priestess may make us really thoughtful, really in our intuitive, internal, almost hidden thoughts, that while we may be there, while the Seven of Wands reversed is saying, yeah, and that complexity may be, hard to stay above today. It may require decision. I think the Eight of Swords reversed here is saying, with all of that, free yourself. The way to boundary complexity is to take off your blindfolds, check out everything around you, see what's complex, what isn't, what can be boundaried, what really can't or maybe shouldn't be boundaried. And I think when we do that, we'll be able to move forward. Let's look to the Lenormand pair to see if there's any specific way that we can take off our blindfolds, any specific way that we can liberate ourselves today to create these boundaries. Okay, so as usual, I will shuffle, reminding myself of my intention of boundaried complexity while I shuffle the Lenormand deck. Also, I am thinking about the tarot spread we just drew. I'm thinking about the High Priestess in particular. Getting a major arcana card in any spread should be focused on. So I'm going to be thinking about her while I shuffle the deck. Go ahead and do that with me. Okay, so now that I've brought the deck from chaos back into unity, I'm going to repeat my intention, boundary complexity, and then I'm going to draw my first card. The first card in my Lenormand pair that I draw is the Woman. So the Woman here, I think, is tying into the High Priestess. I think it's really interesting seeing her here. The Woman in the Lenormand pair, especially as the first card, is definitely hinting to me that some female figure in our life, or even yourself if you identify as female, some person in your life who exudes feminine energy for you is maybe hinted at here. The second card in the pair will inform that, but for now, think about that person. That person, like I said, could also be you. It could be a part of you, the idea of tapping into our feminine side today. I think that's being called for here. It could also, like I said, be an actual other person in your life. Let's look at the second card to see, to inform this and see maybe who this is, or if we can identify with this femininity today. The second card that I draw in my pair is the Bear. Okay, so for me, this definitely clarifies how my feminine side is speaking to me today. And the Bear exudes power, strength, authority, and all of those kinds of themes. So a person who identifies as female in your life, a person who you feel like exudes feminine energy, or the side of you that does, that person or that side of you that has all of that feminine energy and is authoritative, powerful, strong, someone you rely on, someone who you feel really protected with, a part of you you can rely on, a part of you you feel protected with, but one that exudes a sense of femininity. And again, tying back to the High Priestess, a sense of intuitive drive, a sense of intuitive connection above all. I think that that person, that side of you, is the way connecting with that side or that person is how we liberate ourselves today. The authority and the strength that that person or that part of you provides is how you take your blindfold off. It is what will give you the strength and the authority and the power to take off your blindfold and realize that all the complexity around you is easily boundaried just by seeing it, just by understanding your intuition. You will be able to see where boundaries can be put up, where complexity needs to be engaged with, and you will be free. I think it's really that straightforward, and I love that. What I want to take away from this spread today in particular is the High Priestess. I think with the woman and the bear showing up in our Lenormand card, it's all it's doing is shining a light onto her. I think that Lenormand pair today is saying, if you can tap into your intuition, if you can trust your intuition, you can be liberated today. You can boundary any complex emotions, complex thoughts, complex situations in your life today as soon as you can see them. And the best way to see them is to tap into that hidden intuitive force that you have and that you can wield. I'm going to do that today, and I hope you do too. Thank you. I'll see you tomorrow.